Thank you, Jeremy. Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody's staying safe and you and your families are healthy. I thought I'd just touch on a few things. Again, a little recap of the scrimmage but mostly answer your questions. There's been some question about our vaccination rate. We are over 85%, which means that we can have normal meetings. We have to have a mask when you're in the meeting. You have to have a mask when you're indoors. As far as university protocol, so in Keenan, when we're in the building, we have to have our mask. But all the players are back in the locker room, our locker room, not the visitors' locker room, sharing some of the spots. And our players are all eating on the training table, and our players are able to come to meetings. We're having to do some on Zoom early till we got our numbers up, and now our numbers are where we need to be, even though we would like to continue to go in that direction. As far as COVID's concerned, we're treating it like we did last year. But we have much more knowledge now of what's happening than at this time last year. We still didn't know if we were going to play. Season was moved back. University was moved back. Are gone to Zoom about this time. So we feel like we're in a much better position, even though COVID's ran out there again, because we know more about it, but we're taking it very, very seriously. And we're making sure that we're wearing masks throughout when we should. We saw today a couple of the pro teams were penalizing their guys $14,000 to $15,000 when they weren't wearing their masks. So I brought that up this morning, and our guys, I think, understood the urgency of it moving forward. Some people have asked about the attendance of our games. I don't think that's been decided yet. That would come from Bubba, obviously. But I feel like we're going to have 100% attendance. What that means as far as protocol, I'm not sure. As far as the scrimmage itself, we thought the scrimmage was really good overall. We didn't get anybody hurt, which is the most important thing. This is the 15th practice, and they're more tired right now than they'll be at any time during the season. So yesterday was critical that we got through it. We had some spirit, we had good competition, and we came out of it really, really healthy. So now you're starting to look at who travels. The ACC said you can have 80 travel again this year instead of 72. So we'll start looking at a travel squad. We're looking at who plays. We're looking at how many plays. The guys will have earned the right to play. And even in that, we've told them, don't worry about how many plays you play, be productive while you're playing. And that's your job. And then we'll start working on Virginia Tech this week. Yesterday's scrimmage was blue versus blue, a lot of it. Our first team versus our first team. And then the second part, we went some blue against white just to see guys that haven't competed against the first group and see how they would compete to try to separate some different positions. And we also did a lot of different situations. We had kickoff return. We had punt protection against all-out blocks. We had field goals instead of extra points like we normally do. But we had a coming out situation off the 1 yard line to start the scrimmage. We had goal line. We had 1 minute drill, which the offense didn't do as well as I had hoped, but we haven't worked on that enough. So that's got to be an emphasis here going forward. But we're seeing some separation. We still got to get more, but we're seeing some. And we feel like that the players have a pretty good feel after today, because we sat down and talked to them a lot about who would be starting, who would be playing, and they've still got 2 weeks to change that. But they will have some base level that they would know coming out of yesterday's scrimmage. So most of it now is head downhill toward Virginia Tech, get healthy, get fresh, and be ready for a really tough opponent when we get to Blacksburg. Recruiting's going really well, and people have asked me why. We've preseason top 10, which really, really helps you from winning 2 games 2 years ago. The expectations now are are really high and fun moving forward. Our players are happy, and really and truly, your players being happy is your biggest asset in recruiting, because they recruit the other guys. The parents and the players may not trust a coach because you're a recruiter, but they will trust your players. So when your players feel like things are going well and they're happy to be here, and they will tell them anything good or bad. So, but our players are happy, and they do a tremendous job in recruiting. We've improved our facilities a lot, but we're moving forward now to redo different parts of Keenan and get a new training room and get a new weight room and continue to improve the players' lounge and also the locker room. So over the next couple of years, our facilities will be as good as anybody in the country. Every game sold out, and that's so good. It's not happening everywhere, and especially during our COVID over the last year and a half or so. And we have a tremendous staff, and they stayed. So the fact that the university has allowed me to pay these guys to stay and having staff continuity really, really helps us. So we reviewed the scrimmage today. Since we're in school now, and the guys are going to school, many of them haven't been to school more than a couple of weeks in our freshman and our sophomore class. So this is all new for them. And we're talking to them about COVID protocols on campus. But we had a great day today with them in review, and they'll be off tomorrow because you have to have one day off per week when school starts, and tomorrow will be their off day. And then we'll get back to work on Tuesday, and they'll be fresh, and we'll have about 10 days before we go to Virginia Tech and get ready to play. Any questions?
Coach, we'll start off with CL Brown.
Hey, Mack, you mentioned separation in that the last time we were able to talk to you after that first scrimmage, and I wanted to ask specifically about the backup quarterback battle. If anybody has kind of become the front runner in that with Jacoby and Drake.
See, we've got really good battles at a lot of positions, and that's the result of really good recruiting classes. So you just Storm Duck coming back, for example, has really pressed that corner group. So Kyler and Tony Grimes and Storm, Day Hollins, those guys are competing hard to get on the field. And we were trying to find corners 2 years ago. We didn't have enough to play. But we need them to stay healthy. They haven't stayed healthy. And then you look at safety. Don Chapman and Trey Morrison, those guys can both play nickel, but they can play safety or corner. Jaquarius Conley is all over the place. I'm excited about watching him because he plays so well. And then you've got Cam Kelly and Gio Biggers who have played a lot. DeAndre Boykins was not here yesterday. He had to go to a funeral. So I hate he missed because he loves to play, and we hate for his and his family's loss. But that's just, for instance, how competitive that our team has gotten. The backup quarterback, all those guys are good players, and they play good when we put them in there. We just got a staff meeting a few minutes ago, and you wouldn't know who you would put in right now first because they're playing well enough. And obviously Jacoby's been around longer. He's a little bit older, but Drake makes some great plays. He threw a touchdown pass yesterday to Gosnell. That was a tremendous throw. So we're still 2 weeks away. We don't have to separate those guys yet. Same thing at running back. You've got experience like British Brooks and Josh Henderson, and they do a tremendous job in a lot of different things. They can really pass protect. Your younger ones may not be ready to pass protect as well in that opener. So you've got to continue to work on it and see where they are in another week. But thank goodness we don't have to separate yet.
I'm sorry, just one clarification. So when you guys start implementing the Virginia Tech game plan, is that where the line is kind of okay, we're going with this guy for this week as the number 2?
No, the line will be probably next Monday when I talk to you guys. We're telling them today, here's if we played this weekend, here would be your role. And that's always tough because some guys don't like what they hear. but it's important for us to be fair and honest and direct with our team. So we're telling them today, we're telling them tomorrow on their day off, here's where we see you right now in the lineup, and here's how many plays we see you play. And then we'll move forward through this week as we start working on Virginia Tech, and then by next week we'll try to tighten that up a little bit more.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, CL.
We'll go to Michael Coe. Michael, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Last week you were really high on Jeremiah Gimley. You said he's one of the best leaders you've ever coached. In your mind and in your experience, is leadership something that you can coach up in a kid, or is it just a quality that you either have it or you don't?
Michael, I think you have to coach it, because your best leader may be your worst guy in the locker room. And you've got to try to flip him and get him on your side. I went to Iraq in, I think it was 2009, and spent 10 days on the front lines. And I met with General Odinero, who I just love and admire very much. And he was pretty much in charge of our troops in Iraq at that time. And I asked him, do you recruit leadership or do you teach it? And he said, Coach, we have academies to teach it. That's what we do. And you better teach every one of your players, because even a guy with good qualities might not know how to lead. Jeremiah, he's got it all. He's soft-spoken until he needs to be. The other day that he didn't like the way he saw the defense play an inside drill. So he after I said, get in there, Jeremiah, and break them down, he talked to him about 5 minutes and shoot them out before he broke them down, and they listened. And he only played about 14 plays yesterday. So we know what he can do. We're trying to keep him fresh, but he is definitely the leader of that defense. And we talk about the cliche, coach on the field. I've never seen a better one than Jeremiah Gimel. I just enjoy him every day. And he takes the young ones. He's got really young linebackers when you think about it, with Power and Rara and even Asante. Eugene's only really started one game. And then you take Sid Gray, who's playing really, really well. None of those guys have played. They just haven't played in games. And he just constantly coaches them. I mean, I'm so impressed with him, and nobody's asking him to do that. He just does it. So, but yes, we constantly bring in leaders. We're constantly talk to them. We have them listen to words of wisdom from other successful people across the country. But absolutely, we teach leadership every day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, going back to the backup quarterback situation, how much value do you get out of seeing those guys extending their competition this far into the month, this close before the season starts, especially considering the fact that once you name a number 2 guy, some of that competition may slip off because they won't have to battle as much for that moving forward?
Yeah, Andrew, we do not feel like, to answer your question, that we have to make a decision today, because they are battling and they're competing. And it has not changed since I was here before or at Texas. The backup quarterback is the most popular position and most talked about non-starter there has ever been in the history of college football. So that has not changed. So we'll keep it like it is, so you guys will have something to talk about.
Well, the value in their competition and seeing the 2 of them compete every day.
Yes.
Can you kind of just speak to that about being able to watch every throw they make, every rep they take? There's a level of competition. They're not going to be the starter right away, because until something happens with Sam, if something ever happens. So at least you get to see them in a competitive environment 2.5 hours a day, every day of the week.
Yes, absolutely. And that was my point about Kyler McMichael and Tony Grimes are playing better since Storm Duck's back. I mean, competition is such a key. Coach Wooden said the bench is your best coach. It's your best motivator, because the guys want to play. And when those 2 quarterbacks see each other making plays, there is absolutely no doubt that there's more urgency. And we all need that. And that's my job, is to keep pressure on our assistant coaches so they understand they can't get complacent. Well, their job is to keep pressure on their players in a positive way, but in a competitive way, because all of them want to play. We even told the team this morning, don't worry about how many plays you've got. Worry about how much production you get in those plays. If you get production out of your plays, you'll play more. And that's what the two quarterbacks are fighting for right now.
I also had a quick question about special teams. We had Coach DeWitt yesterday, and he was talking about what you guys have been doing. Have you seen the kind of progress you were hoping to see this month in all realms of special teams?
Yes, we've never worked best against best this much in special teams, and we've never worked this much live in preseason. So we have really made an effort to see progress. And I like our plan better. I like our philosophy better. We're all on the same page. I do think it's really helped bringing in Coach Porter, because you bring in the special teams coach from Auburn and add him to the special teams coach that you've got with Coach DeWitt. Not only can they separate duties and get more done individually, but they can have a collaboration of just thoughts. And I think we're just better all the way around.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Ross Martin, you're up.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering what kind of separation you've seen at wide receiver. I know y'all struggled with some injuries at some point in camp, the status of that, and what you're kind of seeing out of wide receiver in that separation, certain players and whatnot.
Yeah, Ross, Josh Downs continues to play really well. He did some great things yesterday. He caught a deep touchdown pass against the ones with Sam. So I'm really, really impressed with him. He competes. He's worked every day. He is a valuable piece of who we are moving forward. Then you've got guys like Emory Simmons has taken every snap. He's a warrior. He can run and does everything right. And he's doing a better job of getting separation and getting open. And then probably one of the most improved players is Antoine Green. I'm really impressed with him. He's got so much ability, and he's big, he's pretty, he can catch, he can run. And we've always just said, come on, man, give us some production here. And he's never been very confident. And I'm just seeing that confidence grow. So I like what I see out of those three. Justin Olson has a unique knack to catch the deep ball. And we're looking at him at both slot and the outside guy. So he's playing a lot of different places. He's another one that hadn't had a snap off at all. In fact, those four guys have been the guys that have taken every snap, and they've got to be exhausted. And we've had to slow down a little bit in some of their drills just to let them rest some. And then you've got Chaffrey, who we feel like is well now, and he'll be able to get back in there and go. You've got Tylee Kraft, who was doing so well, and he got slowed a little bit with a lower body injury, but he'll be back in there and ready to go. So we feel like we've got Bo, who's just continues to work his way back in. But we've had more guys out at the wide receiver position with lesser stuff than we've needed. And that has really slowed the progress for those guys. Stephen Gosnell caught 2 touchdown passes yesterday. So he had a good day, and he stepped up. And then you've got the 3 young ones. JJ Jones has been out, but he played yesterday, and he's starting to get back. And we were really excited about him. He had an upper body injury. And then you've got Payseur and Blackwell that are making plays. So there's enough bodies there, but we got to get them healthy. The young ones have made some mistakes and been tired some, and one of them got hurt. And then but those 4 right now would be the 4. Chaffrey is the fastest guy we've got. We need him back, and we need him on the field. We need him playing. And then you just hope that the young ones continue to grow.
And quickly, I mean, it's no secret recruiting is going really well, particularly last night. I know you can't speak about individual recruits, and you mentioned it earlier. But did you expect to be landing these guys like Dev Evans, Tony Grimes, Keyshawn Silver, Drake May, and then obviously what's going on right now with the 22 class? Like, can you point to a couple of things you think is the reason why you're landing these big elite recruits right now?
Ross, I really did. We were doing that when we left here. I'm not sure I thought we would be doing it as quickly this time as we are. I thought it would take longer, and I do think Sam has helped our progress. If you look at flipping Sam, that gave the rest of the recruits in the state a reason to come. If Sam Howell will flip from another school that's a really good place, then it's okay. North Carolina must be good because he thinks that. And then Drake May commits to a school and he flips. And all of that group says, whoo, this is cool. And then you need some big time guys to make it okay for other ones. And now we're starting to, it's starting to be okay to come here. And I think a number of things, we have a proven record from myself and our staff. We've said 8 of the 10 coaches on our staff have won a national championship or a Super Bowl. That may not be anywhere else in the country. And then the school itself speaks for itself. I mean, academically, it's a tremendous place that young people want to come. We've tried to pretty much stay in our footprint because I want guys that are close to home as much as we can. And then we'll get outside of it for a really special player, an exception every now and then. The fans have done what I asked them to do. They've stepped up and bought all the tickets. That was a question mark before, is how important is it? And at this window of time, Carolina football is really, really important. And then we're winning. We lose 4 games in the fourth quarter, but we're in the Orange Bowl in the second year. So our thing now, Ross, to me, is we need to take the next step and become a national program and win at the highest level.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Mac.
Hey, Adam.
On the subject of conference realignment and this sort of the shifting pieces that are out there, in your opinion, do you think an alliance, like that's been reported for the ACC with the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, is that something that you personally think is a good idea? Like, do you like that? Do you not like that? How would you come down on that?
Adam, this will sound like coach speak, and I sure don't mean it to be. I really haven't had enough time to talk to people about it or think about it at length. But my short, very limited information is that it looks like the 3 leagues would like to start scheduling games between each other more. And that's probably to enhance the TV package, because everything's about money and everything's about trying to be able to produce more money, and TV is the fastest way to get there. And I know from our standpoint, we already have games with Minnesota and we have games with Purdue. So we would be considered a team who is already working in scheduling in that area. I don't think, Jeremy, we have any games with Pac-12 right now. And Adam, the thing that I don't understand, and it would be a Bubba question, is what does this mean for sure, other than are we going to start trying to schedule each other and enhance our schedules and therefore our TV packages? And the other part is how soon? And what does this mean? How many do you schedule? Do we still play the group of 5 team or the Division II team, FCS team, or do you play just the alliance with the other leagues? So I think those are the questions that you folks probably need to ask somebody who knows. What I'm hearing is that I don't see significant changes coming soon because of TV contracts. So I don't see a lot of changes. There's more talk than there is reality in what may happen next year. Or obviously the Texas OU going to the SEC, that will be determined over the next 4 or 5 years, 3 or 4 years, whatever it is. Could they move next year? Yeah, but there's still things that have to change. But I don't see anybody in our league changing unless there was an addition to. So I really haven't thought that much about it. Where it affects us is recruiting. And when people ask, just like you're asking, we need to have enough information that's accurate to answer, because parents want to know where their son's going to play so they can see them. And one of the great advantages we have in recruiting is we have a scheduling base here where the parents can get to most games. and they can see their sons play, and they love that. So if we're driving to Virginia Tech and to Virginia and Duke and Wake and State, Georgia Tech, even Clemson, I mean, those are advantages for us, because parents want to see their kids play, and they don't want to have to, if they've got another child, they don't want to watch a game on Friday night and have to go forever to try to get to another game. So the fact that that would be the first thing. The fact that we can tell them that we feel like we're still going to have an ACC, we may be playing some Pac-12 or Big Ten games more than the 2 we've scheduled in the future, is something they need to hear. And the second part of that is that regardless of what happens, Carolina's a global brand, so we're going to be okay. We're going to be attractive to whatever happens. I hope it's the ACC. I like what we've got. I like this league. I like what it stands for. Our coaches get along. Our coaches go by the rules. It's and everybody has respect for each other. So I'd like to see us continue this way. But if not, Carolina's going to be okay either way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adam.
Coach, next one's from a new member to the beat, John Johnson. John, go ahead.
Thank you, Coach. Good to meet you for the first time. I know you can't get into specifics of names in recruiting, but North Carolina is a great fertile recruiting ground. You pick up a big one yesterday. How important for the lifeblood of this program is to lock down the state and keep these guys home and more or less keep them in your program?
Well, John, welcome, number one, and we'll enjoy working with you moving forward. The last time we were here, John, we felt like we had to do a great job in-state. If you can't get your in-state guys to stay, then how can you possibly get out-of-state guys to come if your locals don't like you? So North Carolina is a great recruiting base. And then you go from DC to Atlanta. We feel like that's a tremendous footprint with a lot of football players. And I've gone back and studied hard how many NFL guys come out of this area, how many top recruits come out of this area. And it's a lot. So it gives us a chance to be successful. And that's just our philosophy. And it was at Texas. It was at Appalachian State. I mean, keep the in-state guys at home, because that's your best chance. And if you're doing well, then young guys grow up watching your program and they want to be part of it. And we are the state university. A lot of guys have grown up loving Carolina basketball, which to me is a huge plus. They get to come and watch it, but also now we're getting good enough that they're also very, very proud of the football. So, but absolutely, if we can't get the top players in this state to stay in state, then we're going to have trouble outside.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, John.
Dina King, you're up.
Hey, Coach. How are you?
Great, Dina.
Just wondering if you've had a chance to check out your guys from last year, Chaz, Diami, Michael, Javonte, Daz. Have you had a chance to check them out any in their action?
Dina, I really haven't. I hear all of our guys watch them when they can, and I've just been overloaded and haven't been able to do it. I just saw Diami make a great catch a minute ago on Twitter. Somebody sent it to me. They were talking about the yards that Javonte made the other night in the ball game, and he had a touchdown call back because there was holding on the corner, and they were all mad outside that the receiver had held, so he couldn't score. So it's fun for us. We're so proud of them. But they were talking about Miles Dorn tackling Diami or Javonte in the game. So one of the fun things for our team right now is we have TVs in our training table. And every time one of those guys is playing, we've got the game on. So they follow them very closely. But it sounds like they're all doing well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Art, you're up.
Hey, Mac. You had a little bit of this when you were here last time, when your expectations grew, but I'm sure you'll learn more about it at Texas. You talk about just going out and play, having fun and so forth. But when the pressure's on and you're heavy underdog and there's a lot of expectation for the season, how does that change how you get them to just play?
Art, the biggest thing is that we have learned that expectations are something you want, but it's different to everybody, because I like to take it as a tremendous amount of pride. Our fans can walk around right now with their chest stuck out because we're a preseason top 10 team. I don't take that as pressure. If we're doing our job, we're going to have those expectations. Those that don't have them right now, they haven't proven the possibility of being a really good team for next year. And the way that I handle it is tell the guys the best they can to control what they read and what they look at. Only use it as motivation. But at the same time, if you recruit well, which we're doing, and you compete at 100% effort every day in practice, then the game should be easier than practice. Because maybe you won't be competing against a better player than you are. And I've told our players, our coaches have a responsibility to get our guys to play better than if they weren't here. That's your job as an assistant. Are you helping your guy beat the guy across from him on the field? If you're not, then I shouldn't be paying you. That's just facts. What are you doing to help him be a better player? And then the second thing, our players have a responsibility. If you're a corner, you have a responsibility to make our receivers work so hard every play and every day that the games are easier than practice. And that takes away the pressure because you're prepared. And that's our whole thing. We will not allow a guy not to hustle in practice or not be ready to play. And as we said earlier on this call, the bench is it's your motivator. Guys want to play, so compete at the highest level. And then you have to quit worrying about winning and losing. Do your process, do your practice, get yourself prepared, and then winning takes care of itself. Can't hear you. Looks like you're still on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
So at Texas, you had a lot of experience winning big games and then some losing big games of disappointment. And I asked Sam the other day on the Zoom, does he even think about the possibility of losing? And he says he tries not to, but of course it's human nature. Do you have a plan for a game like this? The fans are so excited, the expectations are so high. You have a plan if you should lose the game? Is it the same plan as you always have, or is it one that we have to get him back focused for the next game?
Well, Art, one thing for sure, anybody that's coached has lost big games. Everybody. You go back and study it. That's just the deal. And one of the problems is some media and fans remember the losses a lot more than the wins. We used to say at Texas, there's a reason they say remember the Alamo. They got beat. I want to remember San Jacinto, man, we won. Yes, I've won a lot of games. I've been involved in losing some games. Coach Stallings always told me, people don't think that's a big game, lose it, and it becomes a big game. So any game you lose is big because it gets talked about a lot more than the wins. We expect to win, and the losses are devastating. So you talk a lot more about the losses, but absolutely not. I've had 33 years of experience of walking into a team meeting Sunday after a big win or a win. I call them all big wins because they are. And I've done the same with that devastating loss. I walked into a locker room after a Texas team that was number one in the country lost with 3 seconds left to Texas Tech when we had a chance to win a national championship and Colt McCoy was going to win a Heisman. So yeah, I walked in that locker room when it wasn't very much fun. But I absolutely don't prepare to lose. None. Coach told me one time he puts 2 notes in his back pocket for the press conference. One if you win and one if you lose. I do not want a losing press conference notes in my back pocket. It would burn while I was out there. So everything I do is prepare to win. And I never, ever even think about losing. But it is significant that I'm so hard on the coaches and the players right now, because we've had 15 practices, and if you're not careful, you let things go in practice sometime because it's okay. It's okay. I want us to coach right now, correcting every little thing that we need to, so you don't go to Virginia Tech and have some slip ups in different areas, and then you get beat because you didn't address them in practice. So we're addressing everything every minute of every day so we can be the best team we can be. We can't control how Virginia Tech plays. They've run the ball against us for 2 straight years. They've scored 43 and 45 points. So they've whipped us. They've been more physical than our defense. So anybody that sits around and thinks this isn't going to be a fight. It's one of the toughest places to play in college football. They're a little sick of hearing us be bragged on. Nobody on this team is going up there not expecting to have a complete fight. Last year, 2 years ago, we got ahead of them. They came back and won in 6 overtimes. Last year, we were running up and down the field doing some great things. Could have had a blowout. They get an onside kick. They go right down and score. And they ran up and down the field. So Justin does a tremendous job with his offense. They are very physical, and they use their tight ends really, really well. They've got a running quarterback. All those things have given us trouble. And they don't like us very much. So with all those things, I'm excited about the challenge, not worried about the losing a game.
Thank you, Mack.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. I think that's what we got for the day.